Alrighty. Good evening. The little soundbar things are making waves and colors, so it looks like my audio is coming through. Looks like my volume is okay. 07 Blood Tide, how are you doing? Awesome, we do have sound. Naz is still over on Captain's Table with Paul and Darch. So once he gets done, if he's still up to it, I'll add him in. But I figured, I was like, I'll just stick to the time that I posted, and that way, being accurate and all that. Ooh, doing salvage while watching. Nice. I got to try about 1 hour of salvage before I had to leave, so I am very much looking forward to being able to play 319 when I finally get home and be able to do some salvage. I don't know. I Star Citizen will not run on this computer, my travel work laptop. It does okay for some top-down games and a few simple, strategy games, but it's definitely not a gaming PC, and it even struggles with just streaming the podcast. So, oh man, I've been watching. I mean, obviously, I've been watching a bunch of videos because I have a good amount of downtime. So I watch. I've been watching people salvage. The aspect of salvage of going aboard a derelict and pulling out the components and the weapons and stuff is the part of salvage I've always wanted to do. The part that I've always been the most interested in. But even just watching people do the hull scraping is so cathartic looking to me. Far more so than mining. Which I enjoy as well. But being able to take out the components and the weapons is cool. I'm really looking forward to being able to loot the ship as far as the inventory. You obviously they have the ships spawning with crates, but being able to open the lockers and find, so this person had this armor and these weapons or tools and whatever else stored on here. So that's the salvaging I've always been interested in, especially doing EVA stuff, and I'm really looking forward to the EVA tier 2. So, very much excited for salvage. Unfortunately, I'll have maybe an hour or two to play when I'm home for a few days. I get to go home in 10 days. I'll have 4 days at home, and then I have to leave for another four weeks. But so I'll eventually be back to playing regularly in July. Yeah. But anyway, this is episode 45 of the Pathfinders podcast. I am Tree0311. My partner in crime, Nazeris, is a guest on the Captain's Table right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, currently live right now, he would be, he's on the Captain's Table podcast, and so he'll be joining me afterwards, or at least that's the plan. But he's on the Captain's Table with Darjanitor and the Astropub, Paul Shelley. So the plan is for him to hop on afterwards once he's done. But this evening we're covering the May 3rd Roadmap Roundup, as well as the ShinyTracker reports to go with that. And then we're doing a SITREP. Naz and I thought it would be a good time to give an update on two topics we previously covered. The SITREP, is short for situation report. It's something we do in the military. I'm in the military. And so we're going to give a situation, an update, a report on the situation regarding two topics that we've previously covered and are probably very much of interest to people in the Star Citizen community, those being hacking and then vehicle tractor beams. We've obviously been seeing a lot of the handheld tractor beams with the removal of components and weapons, missiles, all that, and the cargo factor in 318, but really wanted to cover the vehicle tractor beams aspect of it that has also been in development and something that we've been something I've been following earnestly. But Nazeris has a affinity for hacking. I think it's got a lot of gameplay potential, and I love tractor beams, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the vehicle tractor beams can do and see how that comes into play, because I honestly think that it's going to be a 320 feature. Amchuka07, good to see you. So yeah, let me transition over into the other screen. And again, if you're just now joining me, Nazeris is on Captain's Table right now. He should be joining me after he's done. But I figured I'd get started because I had already posted that it would be 9 p.m. Eastern when we got started. So let's see, make sure I have the right window up. Yeah, that should be correct. Okay, and transition in 3, 2, 1. Oh, and it looks like Nazeris just got finished with Captain's Table. Hold on, let me message him again really quick. Okay, I messaged him. Alrighty, and cool. Alright, so everything's showing up, and you guys, looks like everybody can see the Roadmap Roundup. So, oh, did he already message me back? Yep, 1 second, guys, sorry. Send him the link for the camera. And I need to pull up my own stream on my tablet, that way I can monitor things in chat. Sorry for the delay, guys. There we go. Cool. Alrighty, there we go. So, Naz is going to get some water, use the bathroom real quick, and then he will be joining us, and I'll add him on screen. So, but let's go ahead and get started with this part, and I will give him credit where credit is due. So, Nazeris, whoops, make it full screen. Nazeris always makes a point of reading the sort of preamble to the Roadmap Roundup, just because, it's, especially if this is, your first time or you're not familiar with the roadmap, it's always good to have appropriate context. That's what we're all about, is making sure that, we're all managing expectations and understanding the development with the information that we have in proper context. So, May 3rd, 2023, 1 a.m. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help to make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup. Actually, I should not have it in full screen, because that way I can't check back on things. Notable changes for May 3rd, 2023. Progress Tracker. The following deliverables have been added to the Progress Tracker. Ship Trespass. Ship Trespass. The interior of players' ships are now considered trespass zones for those without permission to enter. So obviously we don't know when this is going to be coming in game. We'll just have to keep an eye on it as a feature. But it will be nice that have the ability, so that way people can't board your ship and then you defend yourself and you get a crime. If they are coming aboard your ship, they're not part of your party. They're committing a crime. You can defend yourself without getting a crime as well. Permission will be granted via the party system until more complex systems for managing crew and passengers is created. That's interesting that they're going to make a more unique system for managing crew and passengers aboard a specific ship. And I think it's pretty interesting that they mentioned passengers specifically. If you're that kind of gameplay will be a thing, and obviously you don't want your passengers on your E1, whether they're NPCs or players, getting a reputation hit or a crime stat for boarding the ship that they paid a ticket for. Ship Trespass is actually on the release view for 320. Oh, is it really? Oh yeah, it is. See, there you go. Thank you very much. Yep, I hadn't gotten that far. That's crazy. That's just added to the progress tracker. We'll have to look at that and see if there is any work prior to now, or if they're just that confident that they can get that done in this period of time. Granted, that's like 5 months, but no, I think Moriyo Kiri. I think you're definitely. Yep, they're both there. The mission team is just going gangbusters. They must have gotten some poutine with the locations team over in Montreal, and sorry, ice cream. I'll put it away here in a minute. But yeah, it's the way they wrote this description is really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see that that system added to the game. But at least being able to, hey, you're in my party, you're allowed to go in my ship. Sweet, we're all good. That'll be nice. Players trespassing aboard a ship can be attacked by the owner of the ship and any player in their party without fear of committing a crime. Players trespassing aboard a ship can be attacked by the owner of the ship and any player in their party, without fear of committing a crime. This deliverable has been added to the mission feature team's schedule. Yeah, so this is both mission feature team stuff. So they got a lot going on. Along with those other missions that were added in the previous Roadmap Roundup on, I think it was April 19th. New missions, Retrieve Consignment, a new mission type where players are tasked with locating critical items in consignment lists, then safely extract them. This deliverable has been added to the mission feature team schedule. So I was just listening to Captain Sable with probably a number of you guys, and they talked about this, and I think Paul is spot on with his prediction of it. Sort of a you'll get a location, and I think they're going to use this at they've got 15, I think it was, new derelict settlements being added to the PU, and I imagine those are going to be part of, are those on the release view for 320? Hold on. Release view, real quick, before I speak out of turn. Yeah, they're not on the release view for 320, but we know that they. So if you watched SCL yesterday, that sort of intermission looped video, that was one of the new derelict settlements, kind of like Ghost Hollow and the. I keep forgetting the name of the one on Daymar with the 600i and the MSR. Those are derelict settlements. They're being built with the procedural locations tool. And so I think that's what they're going to use these missions to introduce these derelict settlements. You'll have to, because it says a new mission type where players are tasked with locating critical items in consignment lists, then safely extract them. This deliverable has been added to the mission feature team's schedule. Whistler's Crypt. Thank you so much, Hamchuka. That one always escapes me because I haven't had a chance to visit it yet. I'm so frustrated that I haven't had a chance to visit it yet. I really am looking forward to seeing it. So we know that there will be, we know there's NPCs at Ghost Hollow. There's going to be NPC, and Whistler's Crypt, and I totally can see them scattering different items throughout these locations, the new derelict settlements, of which we'll have a total of 17 now, I think. And with the 15 new ones and the 2 that we already have. And so they can scatter these there'll be loot boxes or things on the ground. Who knows how they'll do it, but I think it's probably going to be loot boxes, as well as potentially things that are carried by NPCs, and you'll have to, okay, these items are at this location, go find them, and then bring them back here. It's a retrieval mission, like Paul was saying, repo mission. And I think that sounds like some pretty dang fun gameplay. The question is, it sounds fun and interesting, but also, kind of basic. You go find object, bring object back, shoot any bad guys who get in your way. I think it leaves a lot open to how you get the items. I think that this would be an amazing opportunity for them to introduce lockable containers and hacking tier 0 along with cutting tier 2 in order to, there's all these containers at this location. Maybe some of them are unlocked and others are locked. And you find them and you're like, okay, the item that I'm looking for could be in here. Well, I've got to get in there, and you either have to, you can find, maybe you'll be able to find the passcode somewhere sitting on like a table, or maybe it'll be something carried by an NPC. We've already been able to find those little tablets with the little pieces of information, but give you multiple options with which to unlock containers and get the things that you need to retrieve out of those containers. And I think it'd be a great, you bring your cutting tool and you cut the locks. You bring your hacking tool, and you hack the locks. You kill all the bad guys and find the one who has the key codes, and you put in the key codes so you don't have to hack it. All sorts of different options, that allow for you to, either you can go in there stealthily and do it. I'm sure that people will do that, instead of just running and gunning, especially, if you're eventually, reputation-wise, you might not want to take that reputation hit. And if you just go in there and steal it and nobody catches you, you don't kill anyone, you don't take a reputation hit. That's kind of player agency, I really think, will be great with a lot of these upcoming missions and the tools, the tools that will be available to us as players from new gameplay mechanics being added. Release view. The following card has passed its... Let me just check to make sure Nazeris... Yeah, he hadn't messaged me back. Hopefully he's not pooping or something. Release view. The following card has passed its final review for Alpha 3.19. Therefore, we are updating its card to committed. RSI links. Building, implementing, and balancing RSI's planetary rover, the Lynx, as a game-ready vehicle. And we actually got a glimpse of the Lynx in the trailer for Invictus Launch Week. It was in there at the sort of towards the end, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we'll be seeing that in game very soon. I don't think I haven't seen it posted in any of the links. I haven't seen it posted in any of the leaks yet, so I haven't seen anything from it other than what CIG has released. But it looks like it'll be a fun rover, and it definitely shows a bit of polish. And what Naz was saying with the C8R getting added and the C8 getting a little update along with it, I do hope that the same thing sort of happens with the Ursa rover, and getting its buttons and maybe getting a little bit of polish and update here and there. And then the following cards have been added to the 320 column view on the release view, which we just talked about. Ship Trespass as being added to the progress tracker, so we've read that one. We also talked about the new missions, Retrieve Consignment, being added. So it's not only just now being added to the progress tracker, but it's also being added to the release view for 320. And then the big news, huge news, and then Skeptics will do what Skeptics going to do. The MISC Hull C being added to the release view. Again, this is like the third, maybe fourth time it's been on the release view. I think this is the time. And I hope it's the time because they're ready for it, not because they're just going to push it out with a hack job, partial implementation of its gameplay and function. Because I know there are a lot of Hull C owners who are very eager to have their ship in game, and I totally sympathize with that situation. But I also, there's a lot of gameplay and functionality associated with the Hull C that we've been waiting on for a long time, and has been actively in development, right now and for a while now. And so I'm really hoping that, the Hull C is ready. We anticipate that we'll be able to get these tasks done for its implementation, into 320. And I think that's why they're, adding it this early, because adding it this early is very confident. If you remember, with the new way that they're doing things for the release view on the roadmap, they aren't adding deliverables to the release view. They for the next patch until the current patch is already in game. So we didn't get stuff for 319 until 318 was released. We just knew it was on the roadmap. And 319 is, in PTU, it's almost released and they're starting to add things. But the idea was that, we wouldn't we wouldn't know it was in the next patch until 3 months away from the next patch. Well, we're 5 months away from the next patch. Because if you look at the release view, 320, tentative Q3 2023. So Q3 2023, when they say something is the Q3 patch, it's at the end of that quarter, or, usually it means the beginning of the quarter following, just because it's CIG. Well, what else is right around that time frame? CitizenCon, folks. This is going to be the CitizenCon patch. CitizenCon is usually the 10th of October. I don't remember what the exact, because they announced it. I don't remember what the exact date was, if it was maybe the 10th, the 21st. Someone look it up for me. But 320 is going to be the CitizenCon patch. Either it will get released, go live at CitizenCon, or just before, probably maybe just after, but it's going to hover around CitizenCon. And they're going to demo things in that patch, and talk about the development of those things at CitizenCon. But us having things added to the 320 patch 5 whole months, because it's May right now, beginning of May, we won't see it until probably the beginning of October-ish. Having those things added at 5 months in advance is a really good sign of their level of confidence in their ability to get them in. So the big question is, how confident are they that they can get in the things for the MISC Hull C that make it a actually functional ship in game, not just another, not faking cargo, and the implementation of the wider cargo factor. So, to me, it's a good signal. I'm confident that they are putting it in with a lot of these things that are meant to be associated with it. Vehicle tractor beams, because we know the Hull C has tractor beams, remote tractor beams on it now. We saw those in the Hull A. It was the comm link for the Hull A. You could see it in the background. But that also means the Hull C from the Raft, it was the Raft Q&A. The smallest container that the Hull C can carry is a 32 SU container. So I think that this means that we're going to see a much wider implementation of the cargo factor with various sizes of cargo containers. Not just the 32 SCU, but 4, 8, 16, all that. Bloodtide Gaming says they'll have to redo the entire economy. This is why I think that quantum, the quantum economy is coming in. I think that they've been waiting for the quantum economy, and now Tony Z has given them the okay to say, yep, we are ready to add in more of the economy to the game. in order to allow for this sort of stuff to work, to have cargo contracts, because we are 5 months out from this. There's going to be a lot more added to 320 over the coming quarter prior to 320's release. Yeah. Well, and I would hope that they update the Raft Bloodtide Gaming. I hope so. The Raft is one of my favorite ships. I am a tried and true Argo fanboy. I love my Anvil as well, but at the same time, I buy everything orange. Hold on, I'm gonna take a bite of ice cream, put this away. So let me put it this way. The Hull C is added to the release view of the roadmap on the same day that in the April monthly report for the PU, the Systemic Services and Tools team, Tony Z's team, the ones building Quantum, as well as all the services that go into it, that team is rarely included in the monthly reports. Their mention in the April monthly report, as well as the March monthly report, were the first times that they had been in the monthly report since February of 2022. So, you know what? We're going to go on a little tangent, and we're going to pull this up, because I think this is important contextual information. So let's see. No. April. Oh no, it's 2023. Oops. Here we go. So this is important contextual information. Let's go down here to Systemic Services and Tools. So this is the reason I got excited about this is because if you've been following the podcast, you know that Nazeris and I have been following quantum and not only the quantum economy, and the overall quantum deliverable, but to put quantum into context and really think of it this way. Quantum, and then server meshing, and then PES. It is a triangle. And these are the pillars that the game is built on. The behind-the-scenes simulation that runs the economy and makes all the AI work, and all the services that drive them. And then server meshing, which allows us to have more systems, more NPCs. It's what drives the simulation that we can see versus quantum, the simulation that we can't. And then PES, which is what records the state of the universe, the state of all the entities. It's what records the state of those things on the entity graph, but also think of it as the replication layer replicates that state to people that need to know it, i.e., the server that is, that is simulating that entity, as well as the clients that are on that server and within that area of effect that they need to be updated on the state of that entity. And that's how these things work. But so quantum has just like how when CR told us that PES is a really difficult thing, they had to make 18 new services for PES to come online, as part of the PES sort of host of services. Server meshing is requiring 4 new services on top of the ones that have already been put into the game to allow for it. Well, Quantum also has a whole bunch of services that feed into the overall backend simulation. And we talked a lot about those, and we covered Bounty Hunting V2 last fall. And so Nazeris have been following, and I have been following those things for a while. And so Quantum, the development of Quantum got delayed because iCache failed. I've shown that clip multiple times on the podcast where Tony Z is telling us about quantum in May 2021, and he says, with iCache largely complete, we've been able to reassign or whatever some resources, and by resources he means network engineers, the people who were working on iCache who then needed to work on quantum. Well, obviously iCache didn't work. So those assets, those resources, those people didn't get reassigned. But I can go using ShinyTracker. The other day, I was able to go back and track all the way back to when ShinyTracker first came out in like February of 2022. I was able to track that there have been a minimum of 5, I think we're up to like 6 or 7 now, engineers from the Systemic Services and Tools team who have been working on quantum actively, continuously since February 2022. 9 months after Tony Z said, iCache is done, and we know that it failed. So, and they've been churning away on tasks, but I think it's awfully coincidental that the whole C is added to the release view for 320 the same day that the monthly report comes out for April 2023 for the PU. And it says, under Systemic Services and Tools, the people developing quantum. Oh, did Nazeris? Oh, I'm sorry, Nazeris. I for some reason it didn't give me any noise. Hold on 1 second. Trying to call Nazeris back. Can you hear me? For some reason, it didn't ring.
Very loud. There you go. Hello.
Hello. Hold on. I'm going to add you to... I got to add your camera. Give me 1 second.
I am sorry I'm late. I thought we
No.
were doing it... Well, at the first, I thought we were doing it at, like, a little while after the captain's table. That way I had, like, a rest, like, 10 minutes, and we do this. But then I thought you said you couldn't do it Saturday, and you said you couldn't do it Sunday, so I thought I had till tomorrow to relax. But no, I reread it when you started posting
no
the
rest for the wicked, Nazeris. None. You get no rest.
This is what I get for having a migraine. I just need to, like, stop having migraines.
What do you think I not pay you for?
I know, right? I'm such a terrible intern.
Let's see.
Bad intern.
Properties. Bear with us, everybody. I'm adding Nazeris to the camera. Can you guys hear him all right? I hear him, and I see his audio on OBS.
Hello, chat. We've been gone so long.
Yeah.
I see at least a couple people that were over in Paul's chat. Yep, sounds good. Great. I'm gonna be so dead after this.
I'm going to adjust your volume just to... you're fine, actually. I don't want you to be too quiet, because you were too quiet on the last video, and that's my bad. All right, let me transition to the screen with you in it. 3, 2, 1... Hooray! Everybody wave at Nazeris. Welcome, Nazeris. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Hey, Carlos.
Thank
welcome
you.
back. First time chat.
Oh, boy. Where are we at? Oh, yeah, so you should probably get, like, up on where we are. Where are we at?
So, I went on a little tangent, but you're going to like this tangent. So, I got to the end
I heard
of
some of it.
Yeah. I got to the end of the Roadmap Roundup, and I was like, you know what? Whole C, we're going to do a little bit of tinfoil hat, but it's tinfoil hat supported by evidence. And so I was explaining to chat. Which is the best
kind of tinfoil hat?
It's the best kind, because it's like, this is why I think this. Here's a citation. Here's a citation. Here, everybody, look at these citations. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. I was just wondering if I had always heard wrong. I thought that Tony Z economy thing was called quanta. Is it actually quantum?
the
Quanta
economy and the
are
simulation.
the entities on Quantum. Quantum is the service. Quanta is a unit in that service.
Yeah, and it's something that we
not to be
like,
confused with quantum travel.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because if you're CIG
travel
and you don't have 3 things using the same name, you're not doing it.
Because Odin, and Orion.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Like,
so what else?
Reliant, Retaliator, Redeemer.
Yeah.
Reclaimer.
Isn't there another Quanta thingamabob that makes it Tony Z's Holy Trinity? Dibley followed my channel. Thank you so much, bud.
Part of the crew, part of the crew,
Steady, man. Part of the crew, partnership.
What's the?
Oh, sweet. And the gift
Odin.
work too.
What's the other service that he was talking about? Odin, Quantum, and what's the other thing he talked about in the video?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. I don't remember any other of them had really super recognizable names though. I'd have to go back and look.
The spaghetti graphs
Hex,
are its own thing. Yeah, but the spaghetti graphs had their own name.
Oh, did they? Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Titanium.
No,
virtual NPCs. That's part of Quantum, though.
No,
I
know.
Sort of.
I know what you're talking about. Oh crap! Oh well.
I'm sorry.
There could be. I don't know. And thanks for the follow, Dibley. Appreciate it. Mount Stunner. One of those things where it's the whole look-alike, sound-alike thing. But now, so what I was talking to Chad about was, how we had been following Quanta. Or see, I just did it. I just freaking did it. I told him how you and I have been following Quantum in detail and how the Tony Z's team, Systemic Services and Tools, has been actively working on it as far back as ShinyTracker goes, which is February 2022. But we know that it got delayed because of the work on PES because iCache didn't work. And then I was explaining to them.
I just noticed that when they did their 2949 CitizenCon,
the
entire Quantum demo was running in Hex.
Yeah, the Hex service.
Big top bar. Yeah, it's on the top bar. It's this Hex, and I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah,
until just now.
Sorry,
I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
But so the conspiracy theory tinfoil hat is the Hull C was added to the roadmap, the release view on May 3rd with the Roadmap Roundup, the same day that the April monthly report came out. And in the monthly report is a mention of Systemic Services and Tools. Well, that team was mentioned in this month, April's monthly report and March's, but hadn't been in the monthly report since February of 2022. And at the bottom of their mention, I have it up on screen right now, it says the team planned out the next set of milestones for the Quantum Odin Tool 2. So to me, that means that if they're planning out the next set, the current set is nearly done, or mostly done, getting ready for release. We don't know what those milestones are, but remember from the Quantum...
I can guarantee one of them.
Yeah.
I can guarantee one of the Odin milestone is dynamic events being dynamic.
Could be. Yeah.
We remember how he had that... within the next 2 years, I hypothesize that we will have Jumptown as an unscheduled event.
Yeah. Well, remember in the May 2021 presentation where he had that sort of rollout plan of, we're going to do... refuel, repair, rearm, refineries, all these different things, and these are the things that we're going to be rolling out, in a sort of stepwise fashion, and they're, not in a particular order. Well, it's whatever that list is, pick something, but because it's the whole C, I think it's the more of the quantum, the economy side of it versus the, I don't know what you'd call, versus like the the other aspects. But I think that's what we're looking at is they've been working their butts off on a couple of milestones or several milestones related to those things that hadn't been released yet.
So, do you remember when they said, I think it was either for 318 or 317,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 317, where they said Tony Z is trying to get something into the patch.
Yeah, yep.
He doesn't know if he's going to be able to fit it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 17, in which case he wasn't able to get in 17. And then he wasn't able to get in 18, and then 19 is still just 18 plus.
Yeah.
So he's had time to work on whatever he was just about to get into a patch for most of a year now to get into 320. What do you want to bet?
I think he
bounty
wanted
hunting,
to,
like we talked about.
Either bounty or, I mean, it could be a lot of different things, actually.
So
but that's
you have like the whole sea, like now the whole sea's ready to go in, and all the stuff you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been trying to shove in facets of bounty hunting for a while now. So both of those things just ending up hitting at the exact same time. Like, for me, looking at all the lines on the board, it makes sense to me. That just because of timing and how different features got worked on and delaying of a 318 with a PES, and so they had to like not gut, but like not build 319, and for everything to be 320 and then 4.0, I can see both the cargo and economy stuff, how they're making they're doing location work for not prison, but the security offices and the hovering cells. Like they're doing location work. Location work is very fast work.
There could be so
they must
much from Quantum coming in.
Ready to do something about it.
Yeah.
For 320.
I'm trying to find
Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Thank you for the follow, Carlos.
And the Holy Trinity.
Part of the crew, part of the
Steady,
ship.
man. Part of the crew, part of the ship.
Quantum, Quasar, and Quantum, and Quasar.
There it is. Yeah.
Quasar is the is Quasar the tool?
I think Quasar is the dynamic event tool.
That's Odin.
Is it?
Yes. Is Odin. Nope, you're right. What is Odin then? Creating this Quasar, a new tool that lets us manage.
I think Odin's server meshing.
ODIN.
I was trying to find the
desired result is difficult. In order to solve this, we create Odin, a plugin in the Python-based Jupyter Lab environment. Odin is a powerful based tool that allows. Oh, Odin's the graphs. Quasar is dynamic events. I got it.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah.
Quasar's dynamic events. I kept calling it Odin. I've been calling it Odin for like the past year. Whoops. So technically, the Holy Trinity is Quantum, Quasar, and Odin. So.
Yeah. But that's so that's my tinfoil hat is if the Systemic Services and Tools team, who never get mentioned in the monthly reports because they've been apparently been working on the same stuff for ages, not ages, but for essentially a year, and now they're finally done with it. To me, that means that it is, that they are nearly done, and they're adding it to the 320 build, and they'll be supporting it while they also get to work on the next set of milestones. But we just don't know what the current set was and the next set was. But if you go back and you watch the May 21 presentation, I should have found the timestamp. Tony Z has a list of things, and some of the things are things that we already have already. Other things are things that are being in development right now.
I love when they list off stuff.
Yeah. Like they're, it says
like
right here, they're currently preparing to work on the virtual NPC service. And they've already done work on that. We've seen it on the progress tracker, but apparently they put it down in order to work on something else. But
it's probably PES.
I think it's, a little bit too coincidental that this is said here, this, in the monthly report, the same day that the Hull C goes on the release view for 320. It just seems a little bit too much coincidence for me. But so that's that little tangent on the Roadmap Roundup. And then now we can get into the progress tracker. We'll take a look at the Delta report. The first few things are things that we already talked about, the 3 deliverables that were added, and then 44 deliverables were updated. And so generally we just kind of skim through the chapter work, just because it's like almost everything Squadron 42 related is downstream, and so it only gets updated 3 months at a time anyway. So it doesn't give us much indication.
Like, that's a big thing, is all the work currently in Squadron is downstream.
Those teams have always been downstream. Squadron 42 level design, Squadron 42 feature, Squadron 42 light. Those are all have always been downstream.
But they've had work in the past. They've had work in the past that has been upstream. There are some teams that touch the stuff that is
downstream. Squadron 42 character art, Squadron 42 art, Squadron 42 features, Squadron 42 level design FPS, level design flight, level design social, Squadron 42 UI. All of the any of these teams that start with Squadron 42 are downstream. And so they've always only ever been 3
vehicle
months at a time.
feature, weapon feature.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's obviously that. Magazine. Yeah, weapon and weapon and vehicle feature are upstream.
Mm-hmm.
Feature I know is that. Vehicle feature again. So yes, they have had some. Most importantly, just vehicle feature has been upstream, but there are no vehicle features needed for Squadron. Basically, is what we can easily say.
Well, and that you're right though. That is a good indication, because if you look at these sprints, and like when sometimes you see non Squadron listed teams like vehicle feature or VFX, UI. Tech, something like that, it means that they are adding something in or providing support to something within that chapter, so that they can continue to work on it. And especially right now with all the things that are in development, the big features that they're working on to get finished so they can get Squadron out the door, seeing that work go in and then come to a close, is a potentially a really good indicator. But the deliverables that are updated. We've got some good ones. The AR and map marker system rework. We talked about this. Was it in the last episode where I made that video?
I think so. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah. So all those things that AR is augmented reality. So the things that pop up on your screen to mark things and give you descriptions of things. So that big rework, we saw all that at CitizenCon. So the UI tech team's continuing to add work to that. Hopefully that work will come to a close in the near future, and we will see it moved over to the PU. But it was looking really good at CitizenCon. And then something I'm super interested in is the asteroid facilities, which they've been steadily working on for... let's pull it up again, the deliverable on the progress tracker. Now, I always forget when they started.
Is asteroid facilities going to evolve into replacing how Grimhex is built?
I think Grimhex is bespoke, but I think we're going to see things like Grimhex, but not bespoke. A UGF built into an asteroid.
Right, so port all our two Lagrange point stations is what I mean. Grimhex is bespoke now, but it sounds like they're going to want to move specifically the asteroids facilities into a reproducible point, and once they have that, they're going to stop updating Grimhex, and eventually, when they get far enough, convert Grimhex into an asteroid facility so that it's more modular, more maintainable. Like
I don't know, maybe. It depends on how much
station tech.
It depends on, the Port Olisar is like all the other stations. It's one of the, probably going to be one of the big ones like Baijini and Tressler. With the asteroid facilities, I see those more being, mass reproducible in lots of different variations using the algorithms that they feed into the procedural locations tool. I don't think they'll rearrange Grimhex, but I think that we will get overlays for the asteroid facilities, like the outlaw overlays, kind of like we have the overlays on the stations, like in Pyro. It's the same station tech as the stations in Stanton, but they have outlaw overlays, put onto them. And they'll do the same thing with UGS.
Facilities do say handcrafted, not procedurally.
Yeah. Well, it's, handcrafted in that they use the procedural tools, so like the procedural tool builds the layout and everything, and then they go through and mark it up with the overlays in order to make it look cool. But I don't think that they're going to be making individual.
Well, no, that'd be stupid.
Yeah,
they've already said that's stupid.
No way.
You can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reason the asteroid facilities are really interesting to me is because they are specifically mentioned in the up-to-date Nyx lore, not the Nyx comlink from years ago, but the Nyx lore that was added to the Galactopedia just this last year. It mentions specifically that there are asteroid facilities in the different asteroid belts. So that to me, that's very interesting. And I've gone through. Was it? I don't remember if it was part of a Pathfinders thing. Well, I think so. This is
September, but like
it's 3 art devs, and so I think what they're doing right now is the all the concept art and everything like they did leading up to the reveal of the underground facilities at CitizenCon. Yeah, I think that we are going to see if this work is. Obviously it's Sandbox 1, which is... Hold on real quick. Sandbox 1... Yeah, EU Sandbox 1 is an upstream team. So actually, this could potentially get updated soon, because we haven't gotten the Q4 update for the upstream teams. So...
Won't we get that also in July when we get the downstream for?
No, we should have gotten. We should have gotten. We should already be getting the upstream teams for Q4 as part of this quarter's update.
Oh,
yeah.
So hopefully Wednesday, next Wednesday. Which Wednesday? The Wednesday.
Not this upcoming, but the following. Yeah, I thought we were going to get some this Wednesday, like this roadmap roundup we're talking about right now, but that didn't happen. So Take it for what it's worth. Jay could just be really busy. I don't know. We did get a bunch more updates to the progress tracker, as part of this update. So obviously he put in a bunch of work to update it with a whole bunch of things. But because this,
I wonder how much he actually has to work on authoring the tiles, like the individual things for every update. Like how much does he specifically like?
I don't know.
Is there not
I've
a way
never
to
asked
more
him.
automate that?
Well, I know the teams are supposed to update the information, and then he goes in and organizes and scrubs it as well. But I don't know if he has to individually take those updates and add them.
Does he have to write everything? Does he get thrown a paragraph and he has to translate that into a tile?
Yeah,
that would be like, hey, Jared, I know you're not listening, but like, if you want a part with Jake on it, like, that's a great thing to ask. Like, what does he do? What's his day to day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of terrible things do the devs do to him?
Yeah.
To make him maintain the roadmap. Why does CIG not value the roadmap enough to give him more devs?
So this is another tinfoil hat thing, and this is less supported, but because asteroid facilities are specifically mentioned in the lore for Nyx, I think that there is a potential that they will update us and tell us that Nyx is going into production at CitizenCon and is planned for release next year with asteroid facilities. Because I did a segment, I don't remember if I did a segment, if it was in Lore Equals Gameplay or what, but I went through the lore and found every place where underground facilities were mentioned, and I've also gone through and looked and seen everywhere where asteroid facilities were mentioned, and they're mentioned in a lot of places. It's just like with the stations and stuff, they are building this tech so that way they can use it over and over again throughout, many different systems in the Star Citizen universe, and it's all being built with, procedural tools that allow them to click 80% of the construction is done. Now we're going to go through and hand polish it and hand place a few things here and there to make it look unique, just like the stations in Pyro. So that's my tinfoil hat that we're going to hear about Nyx towards the Q3, Q4 this year, going into next year.
It'd be really cool if we got the CitizenCon demo was Stanton to Pyro to Nyx.
I could see us making a jump into Nyx, but it depends on if something else. Yeah, but it depends on if something else gets added for Nyx in the very near future, which it's getting a little bit close to the wire, because when they did that sprint on Nyx, back in like 2021, there was nothing to it. It was within a month, they didn't do a whole lot. So,
yeah.
But yeah, back to the.
I know, technically they wouldn't put Nyx work under. Actually, no, they could hide it under miscellaneous and tech debt because it's polish work.
No,
they could. They could. It's polish work. It's polishing the system. They could absolutely just chuck it into miscellaneous or.
They already have a deliverable up there for it, though. I think that they would just add in work onto that. Because it's announced, I don't think they would not talk about it in the monthly report. But yeah, so back to the Delta report.
Yeah, they did talk about Pyro. No,
yeah, they've been talking about Pyro a lot.
Well, I'm saying before we got the Pyro demo, did they talk about Pyro in any measurable way?
Oh gosh, it's been so long.
I know.
I can't remember the monthly reports that far back. I don't know what the Entity Properties plugin is, but another thing that we're just talking about Quantum and Odin, as well as the Hex tool. So Hex is the let's see, for that deliverable it says increased Hex tools feature set to enable player relations and developers to view and manipulate real-time data from all microservices in the mesh. Okay, so this tool is what they were using to look at the stuff in Quantum, but this isn't this is a player services tool thing, not something for the devs really to use for developing Quantum.
Right.
But that's good that they're adding more work to that, because
it's a window into the data that makes up the game.
Yep. And I imagine this is the stuff that will allow them to fix people's accounts. After everything that they learned with the debacle that was, that has been 3.18. I imagine that's part of what this sprint is. Like, oh, okay, we found all these holes in the code. Here's where we patch them up and fix these things. So that way we can prevent people's accounts from getting borked for these reasons in the future, and allow it to be more functional.
In the entity property plugin, it says improving the entity property handling to easily adjust properties for multiple entities at the same time. Decreasing iteration time for designers is a major upgrade to the old way of handling things for entity properties, which was pretty limited and hard to extend.
Okay, so speeding up development.
Yeah,
if a thing
the boxes you get from blowing up a ship, right? Those are entities. What if they said, well, we need these to like all have the weight property for their inventories? Well, you gotta find every box that has it, and you gotta update every ship that makes a box. So, but this allows you to say, all of these boxes get weight properties. Done. Moving on.
Yep.
So it's just a much better way. It's basically Control A. It sounds like Control A, change properties. You're done.
Yeah.
Instead of this reference and this reference and this reference. Yeah.
Yeah, having to track them all down and have things fall through the cracks and.
Yeah, and everything that is marked says better for designers means faster production on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they say designer, it means their stuff's getting out the door faster.
Yep. The map and radar system rework, that's a big deal because that in the Squadron 42 monthly report, I think it was, maybe it was in the PU one as well. They talked about the progress on the internal map system, so that way your player map, like they showed it off with the Idris back in Citizen Con. So that's as well as the you doing that little ping thing and having things be on your radar. That's that whole system. So that they're continuing to work on that and making really good progress is a big deal because. That's another feature that, it's in our previous podcast where we talked about, how Squadron 42 is not stealing resources. These things need to be developed, and they're being developed in a way that is to be systemic and to be functional across both, all products. Once this is done, it is a huge big deal to, port it into the PU and add it into the PU dev branch. So it's, I'm really looking forward to seeing this and having a map and interior maps that are generated and having, player-based FPS radar. So that'll be really great. Obviously, Hull C, miscellaneous support, Moby-Glass rework. Again, Jake. So when I got together with Jake and Paul a few weeks ago for dinner and drinks, Jake was just gushing on the UI, Squadron 42 UI and UI tech team with all the incredible work that they are getting done and how hard they are working to get these features complete and get them out to us. And he kept on saying, it just looks amazing. It looks so good. You guys have just barely seen little hints of it here and there. So I'm really excited to see some of this stuff and see it make its way over to the PU. Same with the Moby-Glass rework. The new interdiction scenarios is getting... So this is one of those things that has had its can kicked down the road numerous times because this is a deliverable that was added a while ago. Like it was, what was it, early last year or maybe even before that?
Q2 2020.
Yeah. So
June 2022. Yep.
So yeah, it'll be good to see. Yep. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. It's good to see them picking it back up and picking this up.
Literally
and
looking at the
adding
date
more work
right
to
from
it.
us.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, seeing that work will be good. Still working on.
Isn't it based on quantum? Yeah, no, it's quantum traveling. No, it doesn't say specifically based on quantum.
Yeah, I
but,
imagine
it
it's
should
one of those
be,
things where these scenarios will be generated based off of the probability volumes from quantum.
Right.
Yeah. What is the probability in this area that you will run into one of these quanta? Who will be then physicalized, and then after they're done interacting with you and they are streamed out, then they disappear for good and they're no longer part of the game. They go back onto the back end system.
Yeah, I forget. Did they say how virtual NPCs are made? Like, do they say we want 100 VNPCs at instantiation, or do quantum randomly evolve into VNPCs?
The way I understood what Tony Z said is that quanta are separate from virtual NPCs and subsumption AI, in that they don't continue to exist and aren't, a quanta is generated based off of the probability volume that you will, and that volume and the probabilities within that volume are dictated by the quantum simulation, but they are it's a random hauler in, whatever ship they say it should be, hauling whatever based off of, what sort of traffic's going on there. But then, you pirate them or you don't. And then they just continue on their way. And once they are streamed off of your client, then they disappear into the ether and they are deleted. Versus a subsumption AI, when they are no longer, when your client and the server stream them out, because they, left the radius or whatever, the entity zone, then they become virtual NPCs, virtual AI. I think there's a barrier between quanta and VNPCs and subsumption AI. At least that's the way I understood it when we were, rewatching that. I could be mistaking it, and they could change that, but that's the way I understood it. The quanta are ethereal, and then what when they become physicalized, it's just for that instance, and then they are deleted again.
But what creates a VNPC? Is it CIG saying make a VNPC game, or is it the quantum system rolling a nat 20 and that spawns?
I would
a
have
VNPC.
to go back and rewatch his explanation of the virtual
He
AI
doesn't
service,
say,
because
he literally says let's put in a VNPC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't.
So
that's the other thing, is the quantum population, or the population of quanta, or the simulation. Like, they are aiming to simulate 100,000 NPCs in Stanton, but we don't know what percentage of that population are quanta and what percentage are VNPCs / subsumption AI. We don't know how many permanent characters.
Well, subsumption only runs around the player.
Yeah, but we don't know how many permanent, whether they are subsumed or or virtual. We don't know how many out of that 100,000 population belong to the persistent NPC population, if you want to call it that. The ones who go back and forth between subsumption and virtual NPCs. So I don't, they didn't give us an answer on that. We'll just have to wait and find out. But that doesn't change. That just changes. All that does is change how many NPCs we run into have histories. It doesn't change how many we can run into, because we can still run into NPCs as part of probability volumes that they don't have a history. They're just created based off of an instance scenario.
Yeah, like all the goons we run into for like 9 episodes and crap, that 99.99% are probably not going to be VNPCs. Like I'm pretty sure their roster of VNPCs is finite. You can't do quantum levels of VNPCs. Yeah. So not every character in the game could be a VNPC. So like most the here, go shoot this are going to be just quanta.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. The grunts. And when I say grunts, I can't help but think about Halo grunts. Oops. Yeah. They're continuing to work on the outpost homesteads. So there's outpost settlements, and then there's outpost homesteads, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then these are the independent and outlaw are two different overlays for the Rastar system for the outposts that are built using it. Obviously, persistent streaming and server meshing, going to continue its work into perpetuity. Player interaction experience, visor HUD, and helmet. UI tech team adding a few days of work. That's good. Good to see. The player interaction experience is going to be it's tier 0 through tier 2, and those are going to be really interesting to keep an eye on and hopefully see them in the PU soon. Interesting that they are continuing to work on Rastar as much as they are without mentioning that work in the monthly reports. Don't know what that work is. Don't know what's next for the Rastar tool, because they've updated us pretty in depth for the last 2 Citizen Cons. But it's again another thing that Nazeris and I follow pretty closely. Loved kicking grunts in Halo 1. Yeah.
I imagine Rastar is going to end up being what it needs to be until they make their push for the player-facing side.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when we stop hearing about it, it just means they've reached equilibrium for what they need to do. Kind of like ships or features that were for Squadron specifically. They did it. It's like the whole scene.
Yep.
Like, they did it, they got Squadron ready, and then it just kind of stays there till they're ready to work on it for the persistent universe.
And based off of this, the number of tasks and the number of people working on it, it seems like they're working on it part-time, which probably means they're adding a few more little features here and polishing things for the devs based off who use it based off the feedback they're getting. But it doesn't look like it's in big production, getting it ready for the next stage, like you were talking about. Yeah. Squadron 42 vehicle support. This is, like Nazeris was saying, with miscellaneous or bug fixing tech debt. This is just, vehicles, all the vehicles in Squadron that don't have their own specific deliverable. This is just the polish / gold standard work for those things. Star Wars. What is Star Wars again? Is that the?
They're everything that's ever said in the game. It is their translation tool. It is their tooltips. It is their mission dialogue. Anything that has text in the game is Star Wars.
Gotcha.
And that's how they're able to do localization easily, is translating all of that. Mm-hmm. So it's basically their compendium of text in the game so that they can go to one place for localization.
Nope. Test runner improvements.
Yay, QA.
Yep, that's a QA tool. And ongoing work on the underground facilities. So the other really cool thing about ShinyTracker is going through this, and you can look at how many people are working on what, but also they include updates of when devs are added or removed to the production of a deliverable. So like with underground facilities, they did have 4 art devs on it, and now there are 5, and they have 90 tasks. But they're went from a 29% load to a 20% load. So someone became available, or potentially underground facilities were given greater priority. But you're just seeing more people added to it. Kind of like Rastar now went from 3 engineering devs to 4, and just based off of who's available, from different things moving around. This is agile development, and Shiny Hobo, thanks for joining us, bud. I should have that new view mostly done this week, by the way. I need to make some significant performance improvements to it. There's a lot of data to render. Yeah, I bet with all, 500 deliverables now? Naz, did you see that tag in Discord in my server?
I only glimpsed it. I've had a very busy evening.
So everybody, if you haven't seen it...
pretty. What is... I see it. I'm looking at it. What does that mean?
It's visualization of what we're looking at right now. Between this and the scheduled deliverables report.
It's the actual work as bars instead of a bar. And he's okay. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I tagged you.
Why are some of that? What's the yellow and green? What's the difference? Part and full time. And why are... So that's... And the more bars, the more devs? Like, Fire Hazard has like 20,000 devs on it? What? Okay, hold on. We have this. Okay, let me... Where's my tab? My window's too small to show all my tabs. There we go. You go over
I
there.
opened it up on the...
ShinyTracker. Yeah, ShinyTracker, scheduled deliverables. Go to Fiverr Hazard.
More bars, more tasks. You just said yes, green is full. More bars or more tasks. Very interesting. Yeah, so this is a visualization of the data that Shiny Hobo, the creator of ShinyTracker, the reports that we're just looking at. This is a visualization of the data that they pull from the progress tracker and the roadmap updates. And this is to show us when things are being worked on, and how many tasks are being done for these specific deliverables. So we'll be talking to Shiny more about how all this works and making sure we understand it. But it'll be really interesting to see how this comes about, because we all like pictures, and so it's a lot easier for us to digest information with a picture versus a lot of words and numbers. So yeah, it's a really
Shiny, with
really
this
cool
update. You out information easily the actual progress tracker.
Yep.
Like this is going to be so much help to know where things are going, because these gaps now line up in these tasks. We can admittedly track devs easier, but like we can see where the holes are now. So we can like understand. Really understand like what stuff is prioritized. We don't have to like, is it being worked on now? Like the bar is there, but is that because of a 1 week thing at the end of the quarter? We can actually see where the work is now. This is amazing. This is nothing short of amazing. I can't wait. So we're all gonna be staring at the pretty stars. Next Roadmap Roundup. As amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Let's see. Do you not have? You don't have a Go Donate spot on your site, and you should. You should add something so people can donate to your work.
Yeah, I do it.
Yeah, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like this is like the top 5 community like resources. It's amazing.
And look at all those tasks. My goodness.
Like fire is so dense. Look how dense fire is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Shiny breaking it down for us, like why some of these blocks are bigger and why some are smaller and narrower, and what the yellow versus green means. Green is
yellow and
full,
green
as in like
part-time. Yeah.
But they're like mixed
part-time,
in.
green is full-time.
Yeah, so they're working full-time on this task, but part-time on another task, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or different devs.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
We'll be able to see.
Looking forward to seeing more of that.
Peak soon. Interesting.
Let's take a look at the scheduled deliverables report. So this is another one of the 2 reports that come out from the ShinyTracker.
Okay. Yeah.
The vertical size.
The vertical size is just.
Oh, okay.
So
that's not.
So if there's one task, it's the full bar. If there's 2 tasks, it's 2 on top of each other.
In order to cram them in, if there's a lot of tasks, I get you. So the scheduled deliverables report shows all the things that are currently being worked on this instant. The sprints that are in progress right now. So you've got actor status tier 2, which is being worked on through mid-June. Something I'm very interested in because Actor Status Tier 1 is what came with Healing Tier 0. And so Actor Status Tier 2, granted they're only working on it part-time and it's a short sprint. Hopefully you'll be seeing more added to it. But it looks at a lot of things as well as, like with hygiene, NPC status tracking, multiple bites, so taking multiple bites out of your torpedo burrito versus eating the whole thing, and DNA integrity, medical insurance, cybernetic limbs, and cloning. So there's a lot of medical gameplay related stuff in there. Aerodynamic control services.
Limited lives.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get their core gameplay stuff in. They're trying to get the game to a point where they say, this is the Star Citizen experience, functionally, not bugs like withstanding, but like functionally what the Star Citizen experience is going to be.
Yeah,
and that
getting ready to add in
upping timers,
legitimate regen. Yeah. It's
so
all
medical
part
insurance, maybe even testing out some vehicle insurance, the player habs, hangars, cargo, like really nailing down the core gameplay loops of the game and how you're meant to feel and interact.
Yeah, the feel of the game for sure. Yep. Not this.
So
run
it's going to
and
turn
gun
people
Call
off.
of Duty
Like,
nonsense.
we are going to lose. Yeah, we are going to lose a lot of not invested in the actual project people, because the game's going to get hard and it's going to get tedious.
I think.
I think
the design bigger of it is, if you're looking for the FPS experience, then Star Citizen isn't for you. That's what Star Marine is for. And then eventually, Theaters of War. That's the experience that that's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. If you're looking for something with more depth, well, Star Citizen is going to be like a lake, and you can go out into the middle where it's really deep, but along the shore, and there's a whole lot of shoreline, it's relatively shallow. There are more. I was talking about this with Paul. There are more Stanton-sized systems than not. Systems that are, a handful of AU, 10, 12 or less. And those are the systems where you'll be able to get around, fairly easily, but they're also mixed in. You have to remember that not every system has a lot of infrastructure. And so you'll have big systems with lots of infrastructure. You'll have small systems with lots of infrastructure. And the infrastructure is what's going to, the infrastructure and the size of the system are going to be the two factors that determine that influence how much sim and how complex your gameplay is. You don't have to do a whole bunch of complex healing stuff if you're in a 5 AU system with a station, every 3 minutes away, because you can go run a bunch of missions and just treat your symptoms with med pens or whatever, the med device, and then after doing a bunch of missions, okay, now I'm going to stop, I'm going to restock and go heal and then go back out. Same thing with your ship. You as long as you don't get your butt kicked on the first mission, you'll be able to take some damage and do several missions in a row, chain them, and then stop at a station or wherever and refuel, rearm, repair, and keep on going. But the length of time and the amount of effort and planning will scale based off of how big the system is, how the space in between play areas, especially if you're transiting those play areas often, and then the infrastructure in that system. And so the ultra hard mode system isn't Pyro. Pyro isn't that big. It's bigger than Stanton, but it's not that big. And it doesn't have as much infrastructure. Well, the ultra hard mode system would be like Null, which is Pyro, but just as bad, if not worse, in terms of lawlessness and lack of infrastructure. But it's 120 AU, so it's going to have plenty. And they talked about it when they did the Rastar presentation, the whole point of Rastar and the procedural locations tool, along with server meshing and PES, is to be able to fill the universe with the most amount of content density that they can, and still have the game perform both on client and server side, and not just absolutely melt things. And that's the whole point, is that you won't be transiting planetary systems super often. You'll have plenty of gameplay. You won't have to cross the Stanton system all the dang time. You won't have to cross the Null system all the dang time. But if you do, the amount of planning and work you have to do, and to go ahead with that trans system crossing is dramatically different, or system to system crossing. It's dramatically different if you're going from Stanton to Terra versus going through Oberon to Null. That's the difference. I was talking about this with Space Tomato too. There's going to be not infinite, but a lot of variety, and there's going to be something for everybody. And there will be some people who, even the amount of tedium that comes with Stanton, which is absolutely minimal, will be too much, and they won't want that. I just want a dogfight. I just want to do FPS. Okay, sweet. That's what the arcade modes are for. That's the whole plan. Makineer says, just briefly saying hello. That said, I hear infrastructure. This conversation could get long and detailed. Sorry, a little bit of a tangent. The additional derelict settlements being worked on. This is what we talked about, how they've got 15 of them that are in production, and are it's taking them as much time to do 15 of them as it took them to make one with the procedural locations tool. And so these, I'm almost guaranteed, we're going to see these in 320, if not sooner. I mean, they're locations.
I forgot they're adding those to back to Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
Too many things?
Yeah.
Too many things.
We talked about that before you hopped on, but have you watched SCL yet, Ness?
What was SCL this week?
Yesterday with there's mining, tractor beams, and salvage. It was just yesterday's.
I'm pretty sure I watched some of it, and then Nubifier's video.
Mm-hmm. Well, so in the middle of it, they had a little intermission, and Jared's intermission screen was this picturesque body of water on Microtech with a derelict settlement right up against it, with a dock and everything. It's like, okay, this is where you go fishing. But that's one of the derelict settlements, and they were showing it
I
off.
was there for that. Mm-hmm. I was there. Did I recognize that? God, no. Why would I do that?
Yep. I think it's if not 320, if we get a 319.1, or maybe they do 319.1 for Alien Week and 319.2 in towards the end of July to hold us over until 320, they could add in more locations, because it's just the 319 extension of the 318 code branch with more things in it that aren't major adjustments to the code, big gameplay features or whatever. So adding more locations, and potentially some missions could be possible with that. Aerodynamic control surfaces, that work's ending soon, but it's one engineering dev with 7 tasks who's just getting his 292% load. Look at that! Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's it's not a big. It's not a big thing. I think it's more of a long thing. This has to get done, then this, then this, then this.
Yeah,
and it can't be parallelized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already knew that they're working on the Apoa Santak Yai. You got an artist and a designer working on it.
Is that supposed to come out with Alien Week?
I don't think they're anywhere close to Alien Week. I think that's going to be an IAE ship, because they said that along with building it, they're working on the dynamic rotation of main thrusters to make it fly, and that that's the tech that will allow the Terrapin and the Valkyrie's thrusters to rotate based off of what you're doing. AR and map marker system rework. We talked about that in the other report. Please, oh please, let us see it soon. See, it says scheduled work ending soon, so we'll see. Who knows? The summer is going to be real interesting because so many of these things that Nazeris and I have talked about from the Squadron side of the house have received so much work since we saw them at CitizenCon, and they've talked about it so much in the monthly reports. I already know they're working on asteroid facilities. The ATC service, that's a big deal that they're working on that because that's a big necessary upgrade in relation to work on server meshing. So it's going to get a lot busier around stations. So ATC is going to need to be able to handle that traffic. Bounty Hunter V2. Oh my gosh, look at all that work that's going on right now as we speak. I think you're right, Naz, and I think that this... God, I think 320 could be like most of Quantum.
Yeah, like I think it was not planned to be like that. I think it was just because they were going to get something in, and then 318 just was the biggest wrench in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just so happened that when they got back around to it, they just both cargo and bounty hunting just ended up on the same train.
Yeah. And granted, these are part-time, they're not heavy load except for the vehicle content. But the vehicle content is almost done. We'll have to wait and see if anything gets, how much, if anything, gets added to this deliverable sprints with the addition of any upstream updates for Q4. But this is all the scheduled work. It goes out to mid-August because of USPU. But there's a bunch of teams working on it, including Narrative, which is downstream. Let's see, what is Mission Feature team? Mission Feature's upstream. Yeah, so the Mission Feature, EU Landing Zone,
Narrative's down,
USPU, and EU Vehicle Content. Okay, so Narrative is the only downstream team working on it. So there's a potential that these sprints could get elongated. But because they finish mostly at the end of Q2 and mid Q3, I feel like if they were going to, they would have been elongated already. Because we're waiting for the...
That's just in our humble opinion.
Yeah, because... we're waiting on the Q4 update, and we've already had the Q3 update, and they haven't elongated these sprints. They've already been scheduled at this point already for some time and haven't changed much. So potentially it's looking really good for Bounty Hunter V2, especially since they showed us the work on the office, what do they call them, the law offices? Do you remember?
Yep, law office. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the work for the EU landing zone too. Is the law office.
Did I say? So. I don't know if I said it here or no. It was here. It was here just a minute ago. Location work is fast.
Yeah. Yep. Very fast.
So when they say, "Oh, we're building a location to facilitate this gameplay," then they're pretty certain that it's gonna be soon. Mm-hmm. Because location teams and Montreal people are just too fast.
Yeah.
I only have a weekend? How about a javelin settlement? What the heck are you doing?
Yeah. Bug fixing and tech debt, tons of work getting done, of course. Building interiors. It's part-time work, or at least that's the way it appears based off the load and number of tasks and number of people working on it. But each one of those tasks could be, a big thing. So we don't know, how difficult it is to do those things. Could be a
room.
Yeah. But 15 art devs and 7 designers on building interiors. Yeah, that's pretty suggestive that it's a big priority for CIG. We'll skip through the chapter work.
A lot of art.
Well, so if you look at the chapter work, because Nazeris and I were just talking about this on the other report, there's a bunch of teams on here who are not the Squadron 42 teams, who are not the downstream teams for Squadron 42. So, yeah. And keeping an eye on that because that's a lot of those sprints haven't been renewed. So we'll see.
July's going to be an interesting update.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kale Kataran, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Character work, chem line, which is that location in Squadron 42. Actor tech team. Interesting. That's getting worked on chem line. Crusader Spirit, actively in production with art devs right now. Cutting Tier 2, very exciting feature for me, as I was talking about. Nazar, so we were, before you hop back on, while you're finishing Captain's Table, we were talking about the new missions retrieve consignment. And I agree with what you and Paul and Darj were saying, how, it's a retrieval mission. You have your, what did Paul call it?
List of Easter egg hunt?
Yeah, the Easter egg hunt. You have an Easter egg hunt with a list of things that you have to find. Well, it seems awfully convenient that these new missions are coming online, as well as the new locations in that with the derelict settlements. I could totally see that the derelict settlements being used for these new missions. You have to go here and retrieve these things, and you have to find them. They're in various loot crates. Maybe they're hidden on the surface and what have you. But I also thought it was like, if you have that and you release Cutting Tier 2 and Hacking Tier 0, it would give a lot of gameplay for those missions. If you've got some of these things you can find in unlocked containers, but some of them are in locked containers, and so you have to defend yourself against attackers with reinforcements while you're cutting through the locks to find the things you're looking for, or hacking through the locks if you don't have a cutting tool, and vice versa. A lot of really cool gameplay opportunities. So we'll see what they end up doing with it. Yep. So I'm excited about Cutting Tier 2 because I think it'll be used in boarding actions, and still working on that video. Derelict spaceships, point of interest. Distortion propagation, desurfactions. Lots of cool work. Of course, they're still working on fire.
Well, fire, distortion propagation, the resource system, life support, gravity gen are very much all tied together in that they're all a systemic system for ships being alive.
Yeah.
Like, you need the life support system to be able to feed the fire to burn down your ship, which burns components, which feeds into the resource gameplay, which if a component explodes, that may do distortion to other components. It's all the same system. So if they're still working on resource management, there's a good chance they're working on fire and distortion and everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked that fire's still working. And like the VFX are like, was it last month or this month's report where they specifically called out fire, like, hey, the VFX guys are doing some great work on fire.
Yeah, they've talked about when they've shown it off before, don't look at the graphics right now. This is just temporary. We're going to make it look better. Well, this is them working on making it look better, because obviously they didn't stop with the initial implementation of clouds, and look at them now. Same thing with fire.
Yeah,
flak ammunition.
I don't know if it's 19 or in the monthly report, because I've been like steeping in Star Citizen information the past couple days. Mm-hmm. But they have found or working on a way to remove that noise that happens that we see in game now, and they found a fix for it. I think that was in the monthly report. So hopefully
find out on Monday.
God, I don't remember what's in what. This is what happens when I read the thing early, like I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm. I'll read it again, probably at least once before we do the show on Monday. But Yeah.
But like I've been like watching 319 grow up in the PTU. I've been playing the game. I haven't been playing 319, but I've been playing 318. I've kept up to date with all the posts on the website. I've read most of the Mother Report, not all of it straight through, but most of it, both of them. Just like trying to remember where the information came from.
Yeah. Control F is our friend.
Yeah, it is. Control F and tools like ShinyTracker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Interesting that flak ammunition, along with the other ammos, is being worked on. I'm looking forward to seeing how they work on that and implement it.
Did you see Paul's video today?
Yeah. Oh, geez.
The Bengal, it has flak cannons on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they need it for squadron.
Yep.
Even though it doesn't say squadron, they need it for squadron.
Yeah.
Because the flak cannons, like, I don't know how that's not a squadron thing. I don't know how that's not a squadron thing.
I want to see escort missions in the PU that are perfect for, say, a hammerhead, and carrying a load of flak ammo, so that way you can, flak track on
platform. What they need to do is come out with a new Atlas system that has a modular turret on the back.
Yeah. Be able to swap it out. Yep.
So you can do the Centurion or the Ballista or Flak or Distortion, like whatever it is you want to put on the back. Like rockets. Rockets would be a really good thing to put on the back of an Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing. Like not the giant missiles of the Ballista, but rockets. That's one place where rockets could actually be used is on a Ballista, on an Atlas.
Yeah. Freight elevators. So
what?
kind of connected to. So the thing is, I don't think. Maybe I'm off base, but I think it would be kind of
you just
weird.
Went all robot for the entire sentence.
Oh, yeah, it's my interwebs.
What'd you say?
Freight elevators. So I honestly think that with the whole D, whole C, whole E, you're going to be parking next to or docking with the station over by the big old external cargo gantry looking thing. I don't know what to call that. The giant thing holding a crap ton of cargo containers exterior of the container.
Cargo deck. Yeah. It's just called the cargo deck.
Yeah, the external portion of the cargo deck that you can see from space versus the the part you go to when you go inside the station.
In the month report, they do say something along the lines of they're reworking a bunch of that to get prepared for the whole which includes the warehouse work, which is freight elevators, so that you can store commodities in your personal hangar.
Yep.
Well,
and I think
personal
it's
hangar,
all part
but
of
a commodity inventory, basically, is what it's going to be.
I think it's a big addition that's not just for the whole sea. It's part of it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
but
all the ships
in preparation for the whole sea. Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to be. I don't know if we're going to be docking your whole sea down at like the docking ports that you would dock your 90 or your hammerhead out. I don't know if you're going to be docking there and then getting your freight your 32 SCU out of a freight elevator that's next to that docking port, far away from that external cargo deck.
Finally, engineers focused on the new cargo deck and external cargo loading gameplay loop. So they're adding more stuff to the cargo deck.
Oh yeah, they're going to add more to the cargo deck
facilitate docking the whole sea.
Yeah,
but specifically, so there's a place to fill the cargo, and I actually think it's going to be in the struts inside, not inside, but like in between the giant bushels of cargo boxes.
Yeah, that's what I was always thinking, that those arms
there that looks
would
like it
have
has spots.
Yeah, docking collars that would come out. You would you would dock there, and that way you could say, okay, load my cargo. Because some people are going to want to do it, but a lot of people are just going to pay to have it done. And then you get off and you go over to the station. Yeah, you go into the station and you go get some damn pizza or whatever, or maybe you're going to load the car. You're going to tell it to load the cargo, and then you'll come back and you'll finish the cargo run after work, and you'll just log off at the station or something. However they want to do it. Yeah.
Also, like CIG, maybe like get those arcade machines running.
Yeah. You can go and maybe you got injured during the last jump because a fuse blew or something like that. People can get healed. You can buy more supplies to work to fill your ship
have
with.
A tier 3?
No. Mm-mm.
No,
I don't. Nope, not that I'm aware of, and I don't. So here's my thing. I don't think these other ships need tier 3 beds. I know some people have said, large ships should have a tier 3 bed. No, you don't need a tier 3 bed. You need hand tools to treat your symptoms until you get to some place that you can get healed. That's the whole point of having these hand tools and being, okay, well, you have a symptom from an injury or an illness. I can treat the symptoms so that way it doesn't impact my gameplay, but I only have a certain amount of time based off of how much medicine I have and how severe those symptoms are before I can't continue to treat it. Otherwise, I'm going to overdose. But people are like, oh, okay, well, it's going to happen in 5 minutes. No, it's not going to happen in 5 minutes. Unless you have a tier 1 injury and you're having to give a whole bunch of drugs or something like that. But the whole point is for if you sustain a minor injury out in the black while you're mining or salvaging or moving cargo or something like that, and you've got a bruise on your leg. Okay, well, you take some of the pain med, and then in 15 minutes you take a little bit more pain med, and you repeat for the next 2 hours until the ship gets to a station, and then you go get the thing healed. You don't need a med bed. You need to interact with the healthcare system that is in game. Or if you're on an Orion way out in the black, okay, well, I got my arm broken. All right, well, the suit will splint it up for me. I give some pain meds, and then you use your Mobiglass to call for a Apollo to rendezvous with you, and they'll be here in 2 hours. Sweet, I've got enough meds on board the ship because we prepared, and we have some in a box down in the cargo hold. And I can treat it and continue to treat it until the Apollo gets there, and then I can get it healed. Thanks, guys. And they go off and do their thing, collect their money, and you go back to, but it's not an interruption to the gameplay at all. It's no different than you calling for a Starfarer or a Crucible or going to a station in order to get repaired, refueled, rearmed, anything like that. It's the same thing, but for your character. So you don't need a med bay. You need to interact with the system. Rant over.
It makes me think of one of the friends I'm playing with. Instead of eating, has taken to just med bed everything.
Yeah, this is
so instead of actually doing the food thing, he'll just sit in a med bed because he's got his Pisces C8.
People seem to think that this is some wild, outlandish idea, and it's like, no, this is exactly how it works in real life. Exactly how it works in real life. You go on a mining expedition, or you're, drilling out in the deep ocean or something like that. You don't have a doctor with a surgical suite aboard the station. You have a medic with a limited set of things that he can do in order to take care of you, and he can treat your symptoms and treat, minor injuries at most. But if you get severely injured, you need to call for rescue, and Star Citizen takes it one step further in that you can either call for rescue, or you can, the rescue, if they're sufficiently capable, can come to you and heal you without you having to leave. That's the whole point, It's not interrupting at all. There'll be NPCs too.
It said the Q&A said that D and E have medical interfaces.
I don't know. Maybe they will. I mean, because they're capital ships, so and they have said that capital ships will have.
It says the C specifically doesn't have the luxuries of the D and E, such as sleeping quarters and medical interfaces. I think sleeping quarters have been added to the C, but I don't think medical is going to be added to the C because
you definitely have beds on the C. Yeah.
The sea got bigger.
Yep.
That's the page for it.
Frontier Clothing, Gen 12 Render, continuing to get work. They're already working on Vulkan. Does Vulkan have its own deliverable? I don't think it does it?
No.
They mentioned that in the monthly report. The reason I mention hacking for those new missions and hacking lockable containers is because hacking is getting worked on right now. And that's why Nazeris is going to cover it as part of a SITREP, because it's been getting work a little bit here and there since he did the scanner anomaly on it. I think it was in June of last year. So we'll talk about that here in a minute once we get finished. The Headhunters faction artists, Hex, we knew that was getting worked on. Map and radar system rework. Please give MFD rework. That's going to be huge. Lots of miscellaneous. Look at how much miscellaneous support work is getting done. And as you guys talked about that during Captain's Table, how so many things that make it into game that aren't big enough to make it onto the roadmap are done underneath these miscellaneous sprints. Miscellaneous work, bug fixing, tech debt. Look at all this work being done by all of these devs. It's a big deal, folks. Mission Manager app. Oh man, look at all these new missions. That is so much gameplay to be excited about. I've been watching people do the salvage contracts, but I'm really looking forward to doing them myself. Because it's looking like a lot of fun, especially in a multi-crew environment. Package extraction. Outpost homesteads, persistent hangars are getting worked on, along with the freight elevators. So, gosh. And it's being worked on by the gameplay feature team. Let's look at that deliverable. They're coming to the end of their work with a sprint for EU Landing Zone 2, which Landing Zone 2, those are the people that will make the hangar itself. And that sprint is in Q3, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if this sprint gets elongated into Q4 when we get that update. Persistent streaming and server meshing, going to go on forever. Physical damage and breakability. Physics team still slugging it out with that deliverable. Gosh, I know they said that armor is going to be a while, and I don't know if that's part of armor, but yeah. Physics rope simulation.
I imagine they're working on.
Go for it.
I imagine armor is the last thing they're adding.
Yeah, I think armor is going to come after the resource management. That'll be the next thing that those people move on to. Physics rope simulation. They talked about how they're going to be able to use that on a winch. So yeah, give me hoist gameplay. Pyro space stations and the pyro. This is them just polishing, really, considering they're only working part-time on stuff. Quantum simulation, like I was talking about, 6 engineering devs working on 29 tasks, and they've been working on it. You can take this all. You can go all the way back to. I tracked it through every single one of these reports all the way back to February 2022, and they started off with 5. I don't remember when they added a 6th dev, but they've had people working on this for well over a year now, and the monthly report's very indicative that they've reached some pretty significant milestones. Resource management still has a lot of work going on. Polaris, yes. 7 Art devs, please. I hope they'll give us a little glimpse, kind of like they did last year at the BMM. I hope it just doesn't mean that they're about to give us a glimpse and then they're going to put it on hold in December. Seeded item handling.
I think they're a little not too far along, but I think the reason they did pick up the Polaris is to finish the Polaris.
Yeah, I think so too, especially after that rework that they just showed us for the interior. That probably bodes well for the other RSI ships that they need to do.
It would be kind of ridiculous if they're like, oh, we should not do the BMM because like gameplay's not gonna be ready. It's a bigger ship and we don't have the multi-crew stuff yet. We don't have anything to support this ship in game yet. So let's move into Polaris and do the exact same thing. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, by the time it comes out, probably Invictus launch week next year or so, I think there's going to be a lot of gameplay for it. Seated item handling, that'll be really cool. So you can sit on the your ground vehicles, your open ground vehicles, and handle a weapon and a tractor beam. Oh man, the shenanigans that will come from that. But yeah, a lot of stuff that we've been looking at the other. Yeah, somebody's going to be flying by you, and you'll see them driving by you, and then all of a sudden the box will be trailing behind them from the tractor beam.
Yep, just somebody driving a Steve, and the guy in the passenger seat's just holding a box. Whack!
It could be any inanimate object. People are just going to get shellacked with random things that people are going to be, leaning out of the side of the Steve with the tractor beam, holding, a loot crate, just smack somebody at 65, kilometers an hour with it. Oh gosh. Still lots of work going on with these unannounced vehicles, and then the underground facilities, weapon misfire and wear. So yeah, a lot of really interesting work going on, and it's always good to keep up with what things are actually being worked on right now, as well as the updates to sprints via the other progress ShinyTracker report. But that wraps up and I know we've been going at it for a long time, but we went on a few tangents that are relevant to what we've been looking at. But that wraps up the Roadmap Roundup portion of the show, and we're going to move into our SITREP. So give me 1 second. We'll move back into this screen really quick.
So you can see when you have to clip the video.
Yeah, I got to make sure I have the right thing up. And Nazeris, you've got... right?
What?
Do you have the OneNote up for SITREP and hacking?
Yep.
Cool. So everything that I've got up on screen, I didn't pull up the... Actually, here, what I'll do is I'll pull that up real quick. And that way it's just there so people can see it. Oop. There we go. I'm not going to play the video, but I'm just going to, hey, this is the thing, and it'll be in the show notes, and that way people can go back and watch it if they want to. And, all right, so, yeah, that all looks right. Okay, and
then you have tractor beams after, right?
Yeah, you do hacking, and then I'll do tractor beams, and then we'll be done.
Oh, okay, I was wondering why UI was in bold, because you just clipped it from the month report. I see. All right. So, as has been mentioned, this is a SITREP, which...
One sec.
I completely forgot what SITREP actually stands for, because I don't use it in normal language.
Situation report.
I thought it was every letter. That's why I couldn't forget. That's why I couldn't...
No, not an acronym. It's not an acronym. What's it called when you... Yeah.
Not contraction, but I don't know. I don't remember. My brain hurts. My brain hurts today. I've been dealing with a headache all afternoon. Anyway, so basically this is an update on a topic we previously covered. So in the show notes, we have linked the previous topic when we talked about hacking much deeper. This is going to kind of be just like give you updates on information that has come out since that last video. So we have the deep dives, and then we have our SITREPs to keep you guys updated for it. So as far as the deliverable goes, it is mostly being done, I believe, by current... Yeah, most of what the work is being done right now is downstream teams, and those are only scheduled per quarter. However, the tasks that are on the deliverable only go out to early June, which normally when a task is going to be elongated, they will have the tasks or the sprints or the bars, whatever you want to call them, go out to the edge of that quarter. So, this does not mean that it's going to come out in 320 or whatever patch is next when these things show up. But it does give us a good indication of what may be planning. Like, it's always a maybe. It's never a yes or a no. So it's getting close. But let's go through some of the stuff that has actually been being done and some of the stuff that's been said in the monthly reports. So in the last roadmap update, again, my brain's being slow. The date was extended from 7/26/2022 to 10/26/2022. And how does it say? Does it say?
So what I did is I pulled all the mentions from the the progress tracker, from the Delta reports, as well as in the monthly reports for hacking.
I see how you got that.
Since you went over it in June, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
and everything's in sequence.
Okay. Cool. See, I didn't write these. That's why I'm so confused on where everything is. It's fine. He laid it up very, very brilliantly. So in the Delta of 07/06 2022, we had 2 narrative people on it with 7 tasks and a weapon feature engineer with 30 tasks. In the monthly report of August 2022, the narrative team had this to say. It said the team also assisted in writing text to support several in-development game features like hacking, salvaging, as well as writing names and descriptions of dozens of props, weapons, vehicle, armor, and clothing. Basically, it was a giant write stuff for game month for them. Since then, there are several holidays and events that come to the final stretch of 2022, and blah, blah, blah. They've been doing lots of work. So basically, the thing to take away from there is Narrative was supporting text needs for their hacking feature. In the Delta report for 10/26, in 10/26, they no longer had narrative and weapon feature. Those were completed. They now have Squadron 42 art. They had 1 art dev with 4 tasks. Then further along in 2023 to 02/22, Squadron 42 UI, so Squadron 42 art was then complete. Squadron 42 UI feature team had 1 art dev and 1 design dev. The design dev had 3 tasks, and the art dev had 1 task. Moving us into another monthly report, this time on the Squadron 42 side, because we know that Squadron 42 UI is the people who are working on it as of the last month, or as of the last Roadmap Roundup. There we go, Delta report that we just read. It says the UI team made an initial visual pass on the new hacking UI to make it feel more 3-dimensional holographic. UI also supported the Squadron 42 feature team in setting up a universal 3D marker in the star map system. And continued to create UI assets for the Cinemax team. So obviously the first sentence is our kind of key here. They made an initial pass back in February of this year. So we know that they move pretty quickly into future iterations after they get that first one nailed down. So in February they had that first pass, that first initial visual pass, and they can hone it as they go. And our final update is on the current progress tracker. Never mind, on the Delta tracker, Delta report icon words of 2023-04/19. This still has the UI feature team, except now we have 1 art dev with 1 task and 2 design devs with 4 tasks. So those 2 people and the Squadron 42 UI feature are nearing completion with what they're doing, and there's an extra dev on the design side, probably to facilitate the designing of expansion to it. I would imagine, if I had to guess. 2 teams were added. The graphics team was added with 1 engineer dev with 3 tasks, and the VFX team to give, obviously, the finishing touches, as VFX does, with 1 engineer and it says it moved from 3 to 4 artists, but this is the only one we have on here with the VFX team. So 4 art devs with 4 tasks, and so we have currently, if I click on the actual thing, that got weird. Okay. We have still only the VFX, S42 UI, and GFX teams working on it, and they all, like I said at the beginning, go out to early June. VFX ends before the end of May, and they're part-time. The other 2 teams are full-time. So it looks like they're finishing up hacking at least for the needs of Squadron. Whether that directly translates to Star Citizen gameplay, good chance, probably not, I'd imagine. But it will be finished feature when that is complete in mid-June. There you go. There's your hacking update for what they got going. It is almost done.
I think there's
and I imagine...
I was just going to say I think that there's a good chance that we will see, like, if they have completed this feature for Squadron 42 around this time or shortly thereafter, in Q2, Q3-ish, that we'll see a sprint added for, like, gameplay, the USPU gameplay feature team and or the mission feature teams in order to, okay, you have completed this, we're going to port it over to the PU, make sure it works, and then integrate it with missions and gameplay. Because that would be the next logical step.
I would not be shocked
coming from Squadron.
Yeah. I would not be shocked if the current data heist mission is being built to easily jack in hacking.
Yeah.
Like
to
it's being
swap
built
out what
with
we
the
have
current
now
tech.
for... Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
That
basically
makes a
they're
lot of
building it
sense.
with current tech in mind of next tech, so that when they both coalesce, they can switch over to the new one.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the hacking, not the hacking, the data heist is an underground bunker thing. So
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
seeds of a thing. Yep. So that is what we got. Look for it. And I would imagine we will see this pretty darn soon as like a ISC or something. Some kind of sprint.
Yeah.
So
over the
that is
summer,
all
I
we
would
got
definitely
for
expect that.
The hacking things. Oh, yeah. So,
Especially
I guess,
with
Tree,
the...
you got a tractor beam.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and they
Sorry,
mentioned you talked about the monthly report for Squadron 42 UI in February. I imagine as this, unless these sprints get extended that you're talking about, I imagine we'll hear about that work, in the May monthly reports for Squadron. So we'll, in a month's time, we'll circle back on this and when we read those monthly reports and see where it stands. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you have your long-awaited tractor beams.
Yeah. Well, and it's good though because the a lot of people.
Next question.
Nope. Silence you.
What did I break?
No, that was me. Not you. I was talking to Jared. Yeah. Silence, Jared. Silencio, Bruno.
Oh boy.
I'll pull this up real quick. I say pause. There we go.
Actually, didn't they mention tractor beams in the monthly report as well? Like for tomorrow? Like Monday?
I don't
Monday?
think so. I mean, they've mentioned tractor beams. I was just focusing for this one just vehicle tractor beams because they have been talking a lot about like the handheld as well. But I was just getting the vehicle bits.
But I swear I heard something the past 2 days about tractor beams, specifically vehicle tractor beams, confirmed for 320.
I haven't heard anything confirmed for 320. Here, I'll pull it up the monthly report and we'll... Tractor.
Okay, the SRV being completed. Yeah, support paths began, which includes retrofitting new tractor beams onto existing supported ships. So with
Bingo.
the
I
advent
missed that.
of the SRV, we get vehicle tractor beams on some of the tractor beam enabled ships.
Yep. Hold on, I'm gonna copy and paste
So
that in there.
Maybe copy paste that. Yeah.
Well, I made these notes before I finished reading the monthly report. You did it.
I'm so I don't get to do that. Like especially when you like build all the articles that we go through, and I feel bad every time you're like, oh yeah, I wrote the entire show. It's like I need to help more with that.
It's
I did
okay.
a thing. I found a nugget, guys. I found a nugget of information.
It's a big nugget, though. It's a big nugget.
I'm excited. Yeah. That's it's confirming when we get SRV, we get vehicle tractor beams on at large. Like it's
the crazy thing too is I literally opened up every monthly report going back to April of last year, except for this one. And Control F.
Like I just
tractor.
read that there's nothing in there.
Yeah. No, I just read all the other ones, but that one, the most recent one, the most important one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think the SRV's been confirmed for like 320, but like.
It's not. I think it's one of those things that it's going to get added. 320 is going to be such a big patch. They have 5 months. Before that patch is, due for release-ish. And that's so much time.
The SRV has not been... The SRV, at least the bars and the progress tracker, haven't been worked on since February.
Just need to... That's odd.
Gray Cat Tractor Tool... Vehicle tractor means it's still being worked on. That's why.
Okay.
So the ship is done, but the functionality is not done, and that gets done late June.
Well, and that might be a bug too, because that would have been. They got done with it real fast.
They literally said, "Hold on." I just read that it's still LOD 0. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm being dumb. Get off my mouse. Because they literally just said, because the LOD pass on the Argo SRV was completed, and this was the monthly report for April.
This last month, April, yeah.
And there's got to be a little bit of bar missing there, or a lot bit of bar missing. Cause like,
well, and if it's vehicle, if it's the US, like one of the vehicle content teams, for maybe it just hasn't been updated, or maybe a sprint is missing. I don't know.
Well, it's Art Ship is the where the thing is. Interesting. It looks sus, is all I'm saying.
It does. It doesn't make sense because it's been mentioned like every month since then. I did a scanner anomaly on tractor beams back in April, like at the very beginning of the podcast, April of last year. And so finally doing a committed SITREP to it. Got a good amount of information, obviously, especially if you've been paying attention. We got a lot of information and a lot going on with the handheld tractor beams. So we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the vehicle tractor beams. But here's the scanner anomaly. It's on my YouTube. The link is going to be in the show notes for this video if you're watching it right now, or watching it after the fact on YouTube. But you'll be able to click on the show notes and easily navigate to where this scanner anomaly is within the show notes. But anyway, so chronological order since April of last year, the work that has been done. So this is what the deliverable looks like for vehicle tractor beams right now. Obviously, there is a big old gap going all the way back to Q4 2021. And this is, so it goes all the way back to here. When they did that little sprint, this is when they were working on the actual, I forget the name of it, but the one that's on the 315P. Like this is that tractor beam attachment that's on the 315P. It was actually in a sneak peek in the weekly newsletter, and that's when this occurred. But no work has gone on until the beginning of December 2022. And now we see more work going on. So you have EUPU, gameplay feature team, narrative, and VFX. And so in June of 2022, we can see, so they didn't add any sprints back then. There isn't anything mentioned in these periods. But in, let's see, the gameplay feature team in the monthly report for June 2022 says, last month, gameplay features began working on the next steps for the salvage profession, which involved evaluating the possibilities for the munching mechanic, ship tractor beams, and the salvage grinder. So this is just more of a brainstorming session that they had in relation to these things, because they talk about for the salvage profession, the one thing that is not widely known is that the Reclaimer does have tractor beams on board. You not only have a bunch of big old guns, but the Reclaimer has tractor beams. The Reclaimer has drones, which you use in order to move the salvage towards your hull scraping lasers, towards your big munching claw thing, all that functionality. And then what happened is the vehicle tractor beam was added to the progress tracker in July 6th of 2022, and everybody's like, oh, sweet, we're getting those. But when they added it, it's because they were adding the downstream teams, the upstream teams work for Q4. And so that is what we see here with vehicle tractor beams with the EUPU gameplay feature team and the weapon contents team schedule. So they must have removed the weapon contents team portion of it at some point. And then, see, why does it do this every time? I had it lined up perfectly with where the thing was that I wanted. So,
that's browser based, like.
Yeah. For the ShinyTracker Delta report for that roadmap update, July 6th, you can see that the weapon content team, it just shows that they added the work that was previously not added. That's what it was. But it shows the EUPU gameplay feature team beginning work at the beginning of December with one engineer dev getting to work on that. We'll do the same thing again. And then for the September 14th progress tracker or Delta report for ShinyTracker, when they added the Q1, they added all the way out to June, Q2 for the upstream teams. And so they extended the sprint for the EU gameplay feature team from the end of Q1 all the way out to the end of Q2. And updated those tasks. And then for the November 9th Delta report, you can see that they updated that sprint. So they didn't change the length, but instead of just having what had been one engineering dev, they added a second engineering dev and a design dev to the gameplay feature team sprint for vehicle tractor beams over that same period of time with a whole bunch of days' work. And then right here in the monthly report for November, December 2022, they talk about the work that just was scheduled and started in December for a gameplay feature for the game features gameplay. Additionally, groundwork began for vehicle tractor beams. The next steps will be creating the tractor beam UI and expanding the feature to support its proper functionalities. And then in the monthly report for January, gameplay features again says the EU team continued work on the tractor beam, this time focusing on escaping mechanics. They're talking about this because they're talking about vehicle tractor beams and being able to escape from the tractor beam. So this time focusing on escaping mechanics such as how shields affect the required strength of a tractor beam to secure a ship. A prototype was built to test the potential and help decide whether average shield strength or per shield face determines the required strength. So, they want to know if your shields are weaker on the right-hand side, and that is where you are attaching with your vehicle tractor beam, is that what's going to determine if you can hold them in place or not? Or is it going to be the overall shield strength? Additionally, the team began work on detaching and attaching items with the tractor beam, which we know about, which is an expansion of the attaching to cargo grid feature. And this was off the topic of vehicle tractor beams, but this is that sort of breakthrough that they talked about. They realized that because they were able to use the tech associated with attaching things, attaching and detaching from the cargo grid, essentially with 1SCU containers, this work actually was, didn't take nearly as long, and so they were able to get this part of the feature done a lot more quickly, and that's why we're seeing in 3.19 they talked about how they're able to add it to 3.19, before the rest of the gameplay to go with it, just because that part got done a lot faster than they had planned. So for the February 22nd roadmap update that we got, the vehicle tractor beams sprint deliverable, they added additional work from the EUPU gameplay feature team, adding more tasks, or apparently they added more days of work, and looks like they spread those tasks across those days in order to give the engineers more time. And then for we're in the right place. Look at that. For the March 8th Delta report, narrative was assigned, revealing 9 days of work, and we can see that sprint right here. Of them working on that. And then for March 22nd, we can see that the VFX team was assigned, revealing 35 days of work with 1 art dev. And the good thing about this is, and so they added this ex post facto, because it's 35 days of work. They added it on March 22nd, but the work had already essentially occurred because we got this update right here, and it showed all of the Q1 work that had already been done. And VFX, Northern Trooper 07, buddy, good to see you. OS veteran, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. But yeah, the good thing about that is the VFX is a downstream team. And so to me that suggests that they are polishing the visuals associated with vehicle tractor beams, or working along on that part of the feature with those teams. So I'm hopeful that this will be something that we see in Q3, along with the expansion to the cargo factor, as well as seeing vehicle tractor beams on multiple ships, not just the SRV. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and keep an eye on this. But I thought it was a good time to get an update on that. The last update that we had, that we just talked about, that Nazeris found, thank you so much, is from the April 2023 monthly report, which Naz and I will be going over the combined reports on Monday evening. But it says the level of detail pass on, I wonder if that means all the levels of detail. If they say the LOD pass, not LOD 0 or whatever.
Level of detail pass is making the LODs. So they bring it up to LOD 0, and then they work on the other LODs for it.
So do you think that means that they completed, because they say that the LOD pass on the Argo SRV was completed, do you think that means they completed all the levels of detail?
The art for it? Yes.
Yeah?
I think that means it's LOD complete. So it should be art complete.
Cool.
But that's why, like, the SRV might be done art-wise, but the tech and feature of the tractor beams is still being worked on.
Yeah, definitely. Relating to this, a support pass for tractor beams began, which includes retrofitting the new vehicle tractor beam onto existing supported ships. So we'll see.
I hope this gets added to the Caterpillar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long list of ships, and I talked about all those ships in the video that I did last April. Obviously, it's last April. Naz and I have learned a lot as we have grown as content creators. So, but the show notes are in there, all the links as well. But it was fun.
Yeah. But like the Caterpillar really would benefit like from having its own tractor beam to be able to throw stuff into the ship. Like
so not only
it'd be a good pirate ship.
Oh yeah. Imagine being able to, I mean, if you can use vehicle tractor beams to yoink off guns and stuff from the exterior, and you've got people on board, you know, throwing crates out of a hatch out in a space, and the people on the, you know, on the ship, the vehicle tractor beam are yoinking them onto the Caterpillar. You know, that'd be pretty great.
That'd be a pretty good strike crew if you got like a couple fighters take down like a Herc, and you just kind of like loiter around Bezdek and Lanthan. And then once the fighters find a target, then they call in the Caterpillar to start coming to them. So they take down the Herc, spews all the boxes, you start picking them up with tractor beams.
Yeah, and you get a Caterpillar with a green skin, and you get to call it the Loot Goblin because that's essentially what it becomes. And so what I did. If you haven't watched SCL yesterday, I highly encourage it. Lots of really good information. Really good to hear from those two devs. Those are the guys who are building all the non-combat features in the game right now. The things that we're going to see in the PU before the updates to the combat features come over from the squadron side. So good idea to keep an eye on them and listen to what they have to say. But there was a bunch of talk with, a good amount of talk in the Q&A about vehicle tractor beams. So what I did is I downloaded the whole SCL from yesterday, and I clipped out all the bits asking questions about vehicle tractor beams, and I made it into one video, and I uploaded it to my YouTube. It's unlisted, but it's linked in the show notes for you to watch later. But I'm going to go ahead and open this up and let it play. It's about 6 minutes long. There's some good answers in here, so stick around to hang out for this. I'm going to mute myself because I have to go pee really bad. So,
next question is from Luxor, Caterpillar owner. How will hull-mounted tractor beams, like on the Caterpillar, be able to move cargo inside the ship, considering the tractor beam is located outside of the ship and away from the cargo hold?
Yeah, we are aware of those. So we are working on also the vehicle side of the tractor beams, and those need to be updated. Simple as that.
When you say updated, you mean the tractor beam locations moved?
So we talked to the vehicle team about that, and they had to do, especially for the older ships, they need to look into the tractor beam setup more thoroughly than just for the newer ships. So yes, there might be some updates on the actual item position for those to work actually properly with the system.
Right, because the tractor beams at present are very line of sight, so you wouldn't want, it'd be weird if the beam like curved and turned and
no.
That would be weird, yeah.
Yes.
It's the standard thing we do with all our ships. We release them, and then the systems come online, and we have to rethink a few things. If people remember, the Prospector used to have this laser that was pointing downwards.
Right.
We just had to adjust based on the system, and eventually it all works out.
Things are built with the best information we have at the time, and
exactly.
So. Sorial says, will the tractor beams be a single focused beam at ship level, Or will it be a variable cone with lowering power the wider we go? This person clearly wants to like cast a net over an area to see if they can pull in more things at once.
So for now, it is a single target beam. And the reasons are more complex as well, because we are facing some like if we would allow the ownership of multiple items, that will get really complicated with physics and synchronizing those physics. So we decided for now that we will just go for one target per beam. But yeah, on the other side, we were talking about like, okay, how can we utilize the technology that we have with the tractor beam to affect multiple objects? So there were like, I think Dan brought it up at some point, these distortion fields or something like that, right?
Oh, do you have something?
Sorry, not much to say about that right now. It's still too early. Again, this is stuff where it's at this point it's in, I would call it ideation. It hasn't even been prototyped yet.
Right.
So confirming anything at this point would be a bit premature. So let's see where we get to. We'll update as soon as we have more.
Triton says, will there be weight and volume restrictions on tractor beams, and how will size and specialization of the tractor beam affect them?
Yes, there will be limits on the mass a tractor beam can carry, that is defined by the tractor beam size as well as the volume. And we were even considering like having exclusive tractor beams for that they are specialized in handling cargo, and others are specialized in handling basically the detaching mode. So there are no clear decisions yet on how these exclusive tractor beams might look like, or if we even go down that road. But the definite plan is, yes, there will be hard limits on the mass the tractor beam can carry and the volume. The multi-tool right now is just like, we wanted to allow you to play with this feature, right? And that meant we basically make it so overpowered that it's really unrealistic, right? Like a tiny gun like carrying several tons of weight is just like, yeah, it's fun, but not realistic.
Okay.
Damn it, sorry. I was still muted. That last question, I think, is a really good one in terms of managing expectations and getting the intent of the guys who are building and designing the gameplay for these features. Because a lot of people are like, oh, it's sci-fi, you don't need suspension of disbelief, it's all just space magic, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, they want it to have some measure of believability. It's the whole, you want to take it out to realism and bring it back to fun. Okay, well, it's fun to use tractor beams. But it's less fun to just have one tractor beam that does all the things instead of having, the decision making of having the right tool for the job. And so that's the difference in that, we're not going to have one tractor beam to rule them all. You have, at least two sizes of hand usable tractor beams, potentially more based off the things they've said. But also we know that there are size 1, 2, and 3 vehicle tractor beams, at a minimum, just from what's been talked about so far with ships like the Argo SRV, the 315, all of that. So, it's a good thing that, having tractor beams makes the game fun. We don't have to do things the hard way.
Sorry.
We don't have to do things the hard way for moving cargo or moving items. That's why we have tractor beams. But it's a little bit more realism by having different sized tractor beams to handle different sized items. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
And there's an old adage about constraints making art better. It's the same for games. Like, if you had a game where you could literally do anything you wanted. A lot of people already have this problem in Minecraft. If you could literally do anything you wanted, you wouldn't know where to start. There would be no drive to do anything. because you could do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start constraining it, you start making a game.
Yeah, you're
it
making
may
a
be
game, and
the perfect mirror of reality, but like you're in space now, or you have to make a factory, or you have to nurture a city, or shoot the bad guys without murdering people. So constraints can make things better. I'll do it that way.
yeah. Well, and they create gameplay because planning is a part of gameplay. And having limitations, that encourage you to plan is a part of gameplay. There are so many games where that is a thing right now where if you don't plan accordingly, you are not going to be equipped for a situation and you're not going to be successful. Okay, well that's a normal part of gaming. This is nothing new, and this is just CIG saying we have things that scale, and the tools to do those things are going to scale with them. And that's all it is.
I want an Idris spy-mounted tractor beam now instead of a railgun.
That's very Star Wars. I'm just saying. I would not be surprised if that became a thing. Capital class tractor beams with super long range. You can't grab all the fighters who are flying around and trying to take out your turrets, but you can grab that one because he's the really annoying one.
But if you have like a really good tractor beam operator, he could this one and it shoots it, this one and it shoots it. He keeps pulling them into range of the turrets.
I would not be opposed
really
to that
cool,
kind of gameplay if there were limitations to it, and it's just if you are a fighter and you get lazy, you're gonna get yoinked.
Yeah,
gotta keep him on their toes.
McGonagall says, will the Argo SRV tractor beam be capable of moving asteroids? For multiplayer mining ops, can we tug asteroids together for our party members in the Prospector/Mole?
So right now, how we originally designed mining, we just made all of our harvestables, which minables are part of, we made them static. And it was the simple thing to do back in those days. And I think now we're starting to get to the point where with tractor beam and all these features, there is a point in making it dynamic. So until now, and even right now, if you just crash into a fresh mineable with your ship, doesn't matter if you crash a Bengal carrier, that rock is not moving. But at this point, we can start looking into having them movable, and there's no reason if you can move. If you have a tractor beam strong enough to move a ship of that mass, of the same mass as the rock, there's no reason it couldn't move that rock. We've already saw some things happening when lootable boxes were tractor beamable. So we know there's some small problems there that we still need to overcome, but it is doable. So we're probably going to be heading in that direction.
I feel like, if I'm allowed to speak for you, I've known you and Torsten long enough to know that if there's a way to make towing asteroids around possible and relatively safe and not balance breaking, stuff like this, we'll probably pursue it.
Wait until they tow them at really ludicrous speeds.
Prepare ship for light speed.
No, light speed is too slow.
Light speed too slow?
Yes, we're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
And they crash them into stations. Just wait for that. That is the first thing everyone will do.
To see whether you can bring it with you into quantum, let it go. There's. I don't think it's a secret to say we want it. We want to see what happens, but game development.
We'll at least try it.
Okay.
Game development.
Were you? I'm guessing you'd have the sound off.
No, I didn't have the sound off. I had the sound on.
Did you hear the? Did you see that last little bit? I'm pretty proud of myself. Not gonna lie. But yeah.
No, light speed's too.
Light speed's too slow. Ludicrous speed. Anyway, that is all that Nazeris and I have for this evening. Thank you for hanging out with us with the Roadmap Roundups, the ShinyTracker reports, and our SITREPs. We hope you found the information valuable and helps put accurate context to the development of what's going on, and help you manage your expectations, by keeping an awareness. I think that's important, instead of just being left in the dark when there's so much information available. Before we go, and I just want to remind everyone, as I do with every podcast, everything on my channel is for charity. We are raising money for stackup.org. So if, just by being here and watching and having to deal with a couple of ads, that contributes to the funding. When I get payouts from Twitch, that money plus a little portion of my own to match it up to $100 or whatever, that goes directly donated to my donor drive for our community, because this is not just, it has my name on it, but it is our community, and I'm just a part of it. But it all goes to that in order to help StackUp.org achieve their goals of connecting veterans and gamers, or veterans and active duty military members with video games and video game communities to help combat PTSD and the struggles with being away from home. Just by being here and dealing with the commercials, that helps, and I appreciate you. If you hate the commercials and you want to subscribe, that money, again, is part of the payouts, and I donate that directly to StackUp. And then, of course, if you can use the charity thing via Twitch in order to donate directly to my campaign, or I'll put the command in chat. And that's the link to donate directly to the donor drive for StackUp. And then I'll put the link for StackUp as well. Oh, that one doesn't work. What's the other one?
What do you mean that doesn't work?
I just put it in for StackUp, and it isn't doing the thing that says,
because the announcement showed up right after that.
Oh, weird. Huh. Okay. Anyway.
The announcement showed up when you did that.
Yeah.
Is it not supposed to do the announcement when you do that? No, that's what it does.
Why am I not seeing it in my chat? That's weird.
Because it's an announcement, it's a feature, not a normal chat.
Yeah, because I can see it on
OBS?
the stream, but on the Twitch app, it's not showing up on my end. But the first one did. Anyway, whatever.
Interesting. Yeah, because the first one was a modbot reply to you in just normal text, and then the StackUp command comes in as an announcement, whatever they use for their announcement feature in their chat. So
weird.
It's just not compatible, I guess, with their app.
Huh.
That's fine.
Yeah,
just Twitch is never broken.
Yeah. So if you agree with with what they're doing and you want to support them, it's not just American troops. They send loot crates and everything to allied troops as well, because I know we have people in the community from all over. So again, I appreciate you guys. The goal for this year was to raise $1,000 so the community could sponsor a loot crate for a veteran or an active duty member. And we're closing on like $900. I did the math adding everything up because the little counters at the bottom of the screen aren't accurate, which is just nuts to me. But this is also one of those things where if you are a member of the community and you know a veteran or active duty member in need who would benefit from a loot crate, in order to connect them with gaming and gaming communities to help them with their struggles, especially if they're dealing with PTSD or they're deployed, and away from their family. Please encourage them to request a loot crate, on the StackUp website, and especially if you let me know who they are, I will, when we reach that $1,000 mark, I'll specifically request that, we sponsor their loot crate. I think that's something that I would love for us to be able to do as a community to benefit somebody who is adjacent to the community. So yeah. And on my YouTube, as you can see, we're on my YouTube right now. I'm at 905 subscribers. We have to get 1,000 subs to get monetized on YouTube. So that way all these views that we get and viewing hours get monetized, and that money can go to stackup.org as well. So if you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing if you enjoy the show. Even if you watch here live on Twitch or you watch the VODs, just being a subscriber helps the channel to grow. So that way we can do more for charity. I'm very confident that the boarding actions video that I'm going to release just before Invictus launch week will definitely carry me well over 1,000. The next great capital ship video got me a lot of subs, but until then, I just want to get us over that hump, so that way we're contributing more to the pot. But yeah, that's all I have for this evening. Nazeris, what about you, bud?
I am in the middle of working on 3 different videos. So I guess I'll start talking about it here finally. I have now not rebranded, but I guess I updated the branding on my channel and now channels. So Star Citizen is going to be on the Nova Forge channel, as it has been for the past little while. The old Nazeris channel, where I used to post stuff, is going to transform into Nova Forge Engineering, and that is where I'm going to be posting Space Engineers content. And then the VOD channel that never actually got used has turned into Nova Forge Crafting, which is where I'm going to be putting Minecraft content. I have one more to make, and that's the Nova Forge Extras. So that's going to be, if I want to do something weird that day, put out talking head video, whatnot. It's basically going to be my junk drawer of videos that don't go anywhere. Views aren't really going to be views and subscribers aren't really going to be a metric that I keep in mind. There, it's basically going to be an almost Patreon, I guess. I just can do whatever to just connect with people on there. And so the video I'm working on for Star Citizen is going to be the mission. I don't know which one I'll be putting out first, whether it be your first mission or pros and cons of spawn points. So the goal for the Star Citizen channel currently is to get basically what the new player experience has in video form. So pick a start location, get from that start location to your ship, and do your mission. After that, we'll go into the new player experience. Actually, I just played through it during Paul's podcast. And the thing I haven't covered is getting equipment. So that might be a thing after I do the mission thing. So that is kind of that roadmap. For Space Engineers, we're going to be building... So we're going to be starting a monumental project. Basically, this is going to include several different fleets, lots of lore. We're going to be map building. We're going to be turning not entire planet, but a large majority of planets into different cities and